Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space for heart to heart conversations rooted in faith, discussing mental health, navigating adulthood, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Hey y'all, welcome back to the episode of the Honesty Circle. It's your host, Sierra Elise. How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing great, and I hope that you remember that God loves you, and I do too. And before we hop into this week's episode, I want to make sure that you are following us on Instagram, on TikTok, following us wherever you're listening to this as well, whether you're watching on YouTube, watching on Spotify, or listening to it on Apple podcast. Please make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things, and stay connected to the Honest Circle community. So this week's episode is going to be a tad different. I don't have like a centralized topic, but when I was kind of thinking of what I want to talk about, I was kind of starting it as like maturing is blank, right? So basically all of this is something that I have either learned in this season, or I always like say like since my frontal lobe is connected, like these are things that I've learned basically. And some of it is not that I didn't know it before, but I think a part of it too is that I had an experience that taught it to me in a different way, a different lens. And so I want to talk about what I learned and then kind of explain it a little bit further. So I'm going to be looking at my laptop because I had to document all of these, obviously. And so I want to start with number one. And the first thing is that not everything needs your opinion. Not everything needs your opinion. And this is crazy to me because as someone who is very opinionated, I love my opinion about everything. I love people asking me what my thoughts are, what my opinion is. And I had to really learn that my opinion is not always needed for every situation. And that sometimes even if someone comes to talk to me about something, my opinion is not what I should be leading with. Sometimes it's leading with like questions, or sometimes it's leading with just like listening, or even asking them what they're looking for. And even in giving my opinion or giving advice, I've had to learn really using my discernment of like discerning when I should like say what basically. And like I said, this is hard for me because I'm very opinionated, but I've had to like really start picking and choosing what I'm giving my opinion towards, because I started to realize too that my opinion, number one, is not a fact. And so why am I like leading always with my opinion? Like if anything, I should be leading with what is a fact first, and then based on what the facts are, then giving my context, or giving understanding, or giving like my perspective after giving first the like facts. And so I think that that's something I had to learn. Then also some things too, it's like on myself, whether I'm either sharing the opinion out loud or not, I think that sometimes I just will start to form opinions about things that don't really even matter to me. Like I'll find something on TikTok and I'm forming an opinion about it, and it's like I didn't necessarily need to spend my brain energy forming an opinion about something that someone else said based off their opinion. And I realized like how I guess kind of slightly detrimental it is, because forming an opinion off an opinion is not always helpful when I should most times like do research, whether it's something that is like biblically, like looking the Bible, figuring out what the truth is, or something that is just like common knowledge in general, like go to the sources that are factual and like let that be what is forming my opinion. And so I think that is something else that I've had to like really shift my like understanding, perspective, and like something I'm learning basically. Another one is knowing time and place for conversations. So this kind of connects to my opinion, but one thing about me is that I'm quick to say what I want when I want it to say it. Like, and that's kind of always how I've been. And I've really had to learn that um, just because I'm feeling something in this moment doesn't mean I need to have a conversation about it. Likely because I either need to take time to like digest my own thoughts, to unpack my own thoughts, figure it out, understand And then number two, maybe this is not the setting for this said conversation. And I think utilizing that even more has helped me. You know, say if it's a situation like or something at work, like not because I have work friends, right? Like not all conversations that I want to have are going to be happening at work because of all my friends. I've had to like really learn of like, okay, sometimes this is not a time for this conversation, or also knowing like who's around, like what do I want to say with who's around me, and just because like a close friend's here, there might be someone else who's not a close friend here, and that sounds like very simple, but I'm the type of person who I don't really care. Like I'll say what I want to say regardless. But I've had to like really be intentional, like when am I saying what I'm saying, because not that what I'm saying is like detrimental to somebody else or whatever, like it's not like gossiping and stuff like that, but like there's just some knowledge about myself that not everyone needs to hear, and I think I was oftentimes pretty careless with that. And so knowing when to like have certain conversations with people, when they're in this space to have the conversation, when I'm in this space to have the conversation, like what are the external factors outside of just my internal feelings. And I think that that's something that I had to take in consideration because I was pretty, I would say pretty self-centered or selfish when it came to like having conversations. It's like I'm feeling in the moment, so I want to talk about it right now. And what? So like kind of letting that go is something that I've learned and working through. um Another thing is, that's just who I am is not an excuse for detrimental or harmful behavior. And you have to be accountable for your actions when they're even if they're harmful to someone else, even if that's not what you intended it for them to be. And I think like as I've gotten older, I've heard like that's just who I am, that's just how I am as an excuse so much. And I've always known that that's not an excuse because I've always tried to like better myself. Like there's certain things that are character traits that are like who I am, right? Like I'm a loud person, I'm outgoing. But just because I'm loud doesn't mean I need to be loud everywhere, right? Like, oh, that's just who I am. Like, oh, you're loud. Like, no, like maybe in this situation I need to whisper. Um, and I've realized and like as I've gotten older and experiencing older people too, that have let that be something that is hindering them from continually growing. It's something that really jumped out to me, I would say, in this year. And I have like decided that like that's not what I'm going to like utilize for myself. I don't want to just keep saying like that's just who I am and let that be what it's gonna be, because we are humans and we're able to like grow and change as we get like new information. And so like let that be like what I do instead of just saying, oh, it's just who I am. I'm stuck in my own ways. Like I don't want to be someone that my grandkids like, oh, that's just how granny is, like, which actually by that age I probably just will be how I am. But I hope that it's not something, I hope it's something that's like positive and not something that's like a nuisance or negative or harmful to somebody else. I think that's the main thing. Like when it's harming someone else, like that's just like when you have to like really cross the line or like really evaluate yourself. And I think that's how to evaluate that for me of like how reactive I am. And I talk about that later, but like how reactive I am, like that's harmful for the people that I love. And so I had to really like look in the mirror and be like, Sierra, is that who you want to be? Like, yes, you're reactive, and yes, like it's okay that you're reactive, but how I choose to act out of that reaction is like if it's harming somebody like that I love and that I care about, like I don't want that to happen. And so I've had to, and I'm still working on that. Like that's still a work in progress for sure, but it's something that I'm very intentional in more now than I have been before. Um, okay, so another one is I can't translate into that reaction. It's like if it's timings. Oh my gosh, Siri on the computer is going crazy. You can even say the words now with like a menu update. But anyways, um, the next one is realizing that enough is enough, and this connects to the next one about discipline. But like enough is enough. Like I think I had to like really like when enough is enough, like it is enough. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but like it doesn't always have to get to that point of going past enough or going like just completely left for it to like make you change your actions. Like I really have to realize enough is enough. Like I don't have to like, and for everything, for like how people are treating me, how I'm treating other people, how I want to move in this world, what I'm accepting from other people. Like there's certain things that like I just have to have a standard, have to have a boundary, and like that's the boundary, and that's that. And like there is no moving that, there is no shifting that. There, this is what it is, and like that's what it is. For like connecting like to discipline in one area will help your discipline in all areas. And I think that a lot of times we as people will try to like get discipline in all areas at the exact same time and like let that be it. And that's how you burn out. That's how you stop every single habit that you're trying to like do. You really have to focus on your discipline in one area and watch it trickle over into everything. um for me, a great example is when starting school has helped me out tremendously because I have to be on top of my schoolwork, obviously, but then also being in school, having to be more proactive in how I'm doing my schoolwork, especially more recently. So it's not just doing it on the weekends or waiting till later to get things done, but being more proactive earlier in the week. Um, that has trickled into my how I'm spending my time with God. Because now it's like if I can stay up to get some work done for school, I can stay up to read a chapter um in like the book of the Bible in the Bible. Like I can do that. And so like being tired is not an excuse. I think a lot of times I would just stay up for um schoolwork. Another thing I would say up too is for like any creative project. Like if I'm feeling creative, I can get every idea out. Like I would do it until my idea is exhausted and it's done, and it would be up very very late. And it's like, okay, well if you're gonna stay up late to do a creative project, okay, then making sure that I'm still prioritizing my time with God, my Bible study every single day, or just more on a regular consistent basis, even if it's not every single day. Um, and I've seen like just that trickle into so many other areas into my life, just off one trying to be more disciplined in how I'm doing my schoolwork. And so don't overwhelm yourself trying to be like super disciplined, super consistent in everything at one time, because that is, like I said, going to burn you out. So focus on one thing, figure out what's that most important thing right now in this season, because it can also shift, right? In past seasons, when I was the most disciplined, the focus then was being disciplined and working out. Right now, in this season of my life, that unfortunately is not the reality that I'm working towards right now. It's both my main focus right now is school, being like that is what I want to be disciplined in. However, it's still now trickling into other areas. And so um, just think about this season right now and what you need to be disciplined in, and let that be your main focus right now. And then just let the rest work itself out. Um, Maturing is understanding that love is a choice. And I think young Sierra, high school, the high school love, all of that young and love, teenage love. I thought it was such a feeling. And while parts of love, you do feel things, but I think a part of it, a big part, or the main thing is that it is a choice, right? Like when you think about um not just romantic love, but love that is like from God. Like what really helped me wrap my idea around this, or like thinking through and understanding like that love is a genuine choice, is because like so the Bible verse says that God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. In John 3:16. And so because God loved us, He made the choice to give us His Son, right? And so there was a choice that came with the love that God had given us as His people. But then also think about too, when I think about like my parents, this episode will go out the day before their 30th year anniversary. Y'all, my parents have been married for 30 years. And seeing the active choice that they have chosen to love each other for 30 years, like, I can't even conceptualize that. Because I'm not even been in a relationship longer than 5. So, but it's the active choice. Like, you have to choose to pick that person and put that person's needs and wants and things not always above yourself, or not always above yourself until where it's to your detriment, but above yourself where it's like my needs are met and I also want to make sure that yours are too. And so like that's also in friendships too, where it's like you have to choose. Like I'm choosing the best friends that I have in my life. I'm choosing to love them. I'm choosing to make the sacrifice that I make for them. I'm choosing to spend time with them, even if it means I have to stay up late to do my schoolwork one night, but it's because it's a time that we had free, so I'm gonna do that, right? And for me that's love. Like I'm making that choice that I am choosing to um prioritize our relationship and our time together and those things. And I think that's helped me understand like just love even more and understand my relationship with God too, where it's like, I mean, forcing anyone to follow Christ or to love God or to do any of those things is never gonna work. It's never gonna work. But it's not love, right? If it's forced. It is love if I choose to follow Christ, if I choose to love God. And it's a choice every single day, every single moment that I'm choosing. And that has like I feel like that has strengthened my relationship with God because I'm realizing how much I have to choose, and it just can't be something that is um I just sit back and like say I love. Because I think also love when it's a choice, like it shows action, and love also is an action. Like it's not just sitting there doing nothing, but it takes actions to show love and to develop love and to grow love and to like maintain love. And so understanding that too has continuously also allowed me to develop my relationship with God because um I'm realizing my part that I have to play in that love that God has. I mean, God doesn't love me regardless. God loves me, but to show my love back. Um, Another thing too is that healing does not make you quote better than anybody. I think that sometimes, and I think I've been guilty of this, is that because I'm very introspective and I unpack my thoughts and I unpack my feelings and all of these things. I think sometimes, like, imagine like mansplaining, but like the healed, quote, like therapy version of that, right? Where it's like to someone who is still like, you know, doing the work, who is like still in the process of learning themselves and, developing and growing and all of those things. Like, it's, I think sometimes when someone is like, I guess, has been where that person has been, like you can speak to them in a way that like you're looking down on them. And I think that's something that I have done sometimes where it's like I'm giving advice, it's like, girl, like, come on, been there, done that. And now I say it like that. But there's like that kind of like judgment element or that kind of like not fully validating where they are and where their understanding is and kind of helping them in that aspect. And so I think that I've had to learn to like reel in my own personal work that I've done at times to like meet people where they are and show up for them the way that they need to be shown up for and not just bringing all that I've learned and like, well, this is my advice because I've done that and I've been through this before, so you should listen to my advice and blah blah blah. um and so I think that's something that I've learned. And it's been fun to learn that because I think it's also helped me grow even more because I'm now um putting myself in like their shoes to be able to like I guess like the secondhand learning that happens because they might have a different perspective and a different way of going about it that I did not. And so it's allowing me to like take tidbits and learn from that too. So I think that sometimes people who have like been to therapy and all of that have come from a superior space, and it's like you're not superior. I'm not superior. Like you're just have been to therapy, and so like let's down a little bit and like bring yourself back to earth. Um, Another one too is allowing myself the opportunity to take in new information and knowing I'm allowed to shift my perspective based on that new information. um my mom always says like, you did what you did, you made the decision that you made with the information that you had then. And so the only way I will make a new decision is I get new information, new knowledge, new experiences, new perspectives, new all of these things. And so letting those new things, letting that new information, letting that change my perspective. Because just because I had a perspective previously doesn't mean it has to be the only perspective that I keep for the rest of my life. Like, take in what you're experiencing and what I'm experiencing, and like really allow yourself to shift and change, because like things don't change us. It's how we reflect on the things that allows us to also change and grow, and to um like shift your perspective. So I think that is something that I have learned. um Another part too is like, I mean, I've always kind of known this, but like my parents are low key right about some things. Specifically, my mom, and this kind of connects to what I was saying earlier about um like knowing time and place for conversations and like my opinion and stuff like that. And I talked about how I'm pretty reactive. My mom always would say, like, you know, you can't control what people say about you, but you can control how you respond. And I don't think I ever really like took that in and like, no, Sierra, you control how you respond. Like, someone else's what they say is not like an excuse for how you respond. And I think that like it's not always about like the negative, like, oh, you know, they call you a bad name, it's what you respond to. It's not just that, but it's like I control my response. And so I don't have to respond that same way continuously. Like, get yourself together, girl. It's how I feel about myself. But that is something that my mom has always said. And so I guess she's kind of right about that one. Um, Another one is learning what relationships are worth investing and sacrificing for. Because I think that as we grow, I talk about this in like different episodes about community and friendship and stuff like that. Um, Friendships and relationships, they take effort, they take investing your time, they take sacrifice. And doing that helps you have a better bond, like a better relationship with that person, whether it's romantically, platonically, familially, whatever, all the leads. And I think I've learned like which ones are the ones I want to develop, or I want to invest my time in, making sacrifices for. And it's been nice to pour into relationships that are also pouring back into you, and not just like, you know, being the one that is like always keeping the friendship going or keeping the relationship going, but it's a mutual thing. And so as I've gotten older and I've learned, and this year specifically has really shown me like who are my people and like who do I need to keep, and making sure I do what I have to do to keep them. Like, I don't want to do things that are, you know, gonna cause me to lose them. I want to keep them, so like keep them, and I'm gonna invest in them. Another one is um sometimes you don't get instant peace by making a decision that's right for you. I'm gonna say that again. Sometimes you do not get instant peace for making a decision that's right for you. I think sometimes I always worked in a place of like, you know, this is bring me peace. And not everything is gonna bring me immediate peace, even if it's the right decision. And that's a hard thing, a hard pill to swallow. But I think it's because we're so used to instant gratification, and that sometimes the peace is going to be that long term peace. Sometimes that peace is going to be something that you are not feeling right now, but give it a week and you're going to feel a different level of peace. Maybe give it a month, you're going to get a different level of peace. But just because you don't have the peace right when you make that decision, does that mean that you need to, that was a bad decision? Because it likely could have been right. It just takes some time for the peace to come, because instant gratification is not going to always come. So that's something that I've also learned this season. The second to last one is that just because I unpack my feelings and acknowledge my feelings doesn't mean I have to act on them. I think that I typically act off my feelings a lot, and it leads to a lot of emotional decisions and a lot of instantaneous, I guess, decisions and thoughts. But taking that time to acknowledge my feelings and unpack them, sometimes I just need to like not actually act. Sometimes it just needs to be like I'm acknowledging, I felt, I feel. and we're going to let that be what it's going to be. And we're going to move forward after I felt what I feel. So that's that. And last but not least is that you cannot neglect rest. And I'm saying this as someone who has neglected their rest for far too long. And that is why this is not my last episode forever, but this will be my last episode of 2024 because your girl has neglected rest and it has, I need a reset. And I think that God has continuously like pushed me to focus on something that I've not been focusing on, because I've been prioritizing so many other things over it, and I have been tired, and so that thing gets pushed to the back burner, and I just don't think that's what God wants me to do right now in this season, or in this immediate season right now. And so this will be my last episode of 2024. And trust and believe we will be back the top of 2025. Don't worry, we are not going anywhere. But this rest and time away, I'm hoping that it will give me the replenishing that I need, because I partly feel that I've been like running on an empty engine for so long. And I have some time away from work as well. And so I just need to really take this time to refocus myself, like get back proactive, like get back to the ways in which the things that lead me to success. And I've been neglecting those habits that I have developed because I'm tired. And so I am prioritizing my rest that I've been neglecting for so long. And so that is maturing. And so that's it for this week's episode. And C's 2 cents this week is to really reflect on this year, reflect on all that has come this year. While the year is not over, it doesn't mean that you can't take the time to reflect. This also doesn't mean that you have to wait into the new year to do anything new. Like, the year is not over. You still are able to work towards those goals that you have, and prepare yourself for the new year. And so I love you guys. Y'all can take my advice or not. That's just my 2 cents. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to be back on the mic once I'm well rested and refreshed and replenished, the top of 2025. I love you guys so, so much. Go conquer your week. Go conquer the rest of 2024. And let's go conquer 2025 together in January. Love y'all.